And it's finally here, autumn. Even though every season of the year has something special, autumn has always been my favorite. These beige, orange, brown colors look simply wonderful to me. Especially in the forest when you go to pick up mushrooms and find really a lot. And how comfy these rainy evenings are when you have some free time for your hobbies. In my case, it's making handmade gifts. If you like these notebooks, mini embroideries, or maybe some handmade bookmarks, you can purchase something in my handmade shop. And if you want something personalized, just send me a message. Hello friends, happy autumn to all of you, or spring, because in some parts of the world it's actually spring now, in Argentina for example. But I'm really happy it's autumn here, even though it rains almost every day. It's getting colder and colder every day, and we are all in need to improve our mood. And I have decided to improve my mood with the help of a bookstore. I have already some specific books on my mind that I need to buy, but at first let me show you one of my favorite bookstores in Moscow. And let's talk about books after that, okay? So now let's get dressed and let's get going. So, what do you think about this bookshop? To be honest, this is one of my favorite bookshops, my second favorite bookshop of Moscow after the so-called House of Book, the one that I showed you in this video. As you have seen today, I spent the majority of the time in the section with the books in English, and that's because I decided to dedicate this autumn to the English literature. English literature is so rich, so interesting. There is so much to learn. So I thought some of you will be interested to learn something about the English literature with me and maybe to read something together. Some of you may know that English literature is divided into several periods. The first one of which is the so-called Old English literature. The most famous, the most important work of this time is Beowulf, the epic poem Beowulf, which, if you haven't read, I'm sure many of you have watched a film, because Beowulf has been turned into films many times. I read Beowulf when I was at university, and I also watched a film. Really recommend you, especially if you're into English learning, English literature, everything English. So if you're into English, please consider reading or at least watching a film. You will like it.
I'll fight this evil.
What?
I'll rid them of this terror.
Our warlike neighbors.
Next period of English literature is called Middle English literature period, and the most famous work of this period is the Canterbury Tales, which I finished reading in the beginning of the year, I guess. And I have even done this kind of a journal, in which I described and analyzed, if I can say so, each tale of the Canterbury Tales. To be honest, at first it was quite difficult to read the Canterbury Tales in the beginning, because it was my favorite work in English. I was reading in verse, so that was quite difficult. But then I got used to it, and I really enjoyed the Canterbury Tales. Really recommend you, even though it may seem to you a long book to read. But trust me, after 3-4 tales, you will get into it. And after I wrote and analyzed each tale, I decided to make this copybook a bit more beautiful, and I did this handmade cover. Is there any one of you who read the Canterbury Tales? Please tell me in the comments. Tell me your impressions. What do you think about the Canterbury Tales? Did you like it? It was difficult? It was easy? It was boring? How was it? Okay, now the next period that comes after the previous one, and that's exactly where I am right now. And maybe some of you will already guess that the main character, the main man of this period would be this man, Shakespeare. By the way, look at this mini embroidery I've made. Very cute. Really like it. I've already got some of the books of Shakespeare, some of the plays of Shakespeare, and I have decided to put away for some time his historical plays and to pick them up later, and now I am reading his tragedies and comedies. Again, as you know, they are all written in verse. It took me some time to get used to English verse, so at first it was really hard, I have to tell you the truth. Right now I am reading the Winter Tale. I am finishing it, and I have to tell you that I really like it. So far it's my favorite, and I don't even have to look up many words, in a dictionary. I'm really enjoying. The most difficult for me so far has been the King Lear. I actually haven't even finished it yet. I really hope I will come back to King Lear. I will try my best to reread it in some time. And I was planning to make a video in which I'm going to talk only about Shakespeare, because as you may know, Shakespeare is one of the main characters in English literature, if not the most important one. So I guess for every English learner, it's really worth knowing him a bit better. That's why I was thinking, when I read more Shakespeare, maybe I could already give you some recommendations to talk about Shakespeare more, to tell you more about this writer. If this idea sounds interesting to you, please let me know in the comments. Okay, another book I got today, and the last one I got 3, and the third one was this one, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. Actually, at first I was going to buy the Robinson Crusoe, but it wasn't there, that's why I got this one instead. And Gulliver's Travels is from the neoclassical English literature period, which comes after the Renaissance period. I have already read Gulliver's Travels when I was a kid. I anyways decided to buy it and to read it in the original because I have never read it in English. So I decided to get this book without thinking and going to start reading it after Shakespeare. Okay, and now let's just, briefly look at some other periods of English literature, since the majority of the video I'm talking about the periods, which I like really much. After the neoclassical period comes the Romantic period with the lovely Jane Austen. I'm really looking forward to reading her books. Then we have Victorian period with many, many wonderful writers: Charles Dickens, George Eliot, Emily Bronte, Thomas Hardy, and many, many others. Then we also have Edwardian period, Georgian period, and finally modern and postmodern periods. Okay, quite a long list I have. This autumn I was planning, to come till the Romantic period and to finish this autumn with the books of Jane Austen, but at the same time, I don't want to limit myself, I don't want to pressure myself, because I really like to, to read a book and to analyze it, to spend as much time on the book as possible, because every book is special and I really like analyzing each story, each book, and to write some book reviews in my reading journal if I'm in the mood for it. I really, really hope you enjoyed this brief description of the English literature. Hope you found some books to read this autumn. Join me if you like in this autumn reading trip, and stay tuned for the next videos to see my reading progress. And if you guys want to see more books, more book reviews on my channel, maybe of Russian or Spanish literature, let's say, please consider supporting me on my Ko-fi account so that I'll be able to read more, to create more, and to teach you, to tell you more.